Okay, a lot of information in a short period of time, but any first questions from anybody? Any ahas, things you want to know, Phil?
Why no fires?
Why what now?
I think you said no fire, fireplace.
Well, because when you have fires, there is part of the soot that forms particulate matter. So,
It goes out.
yeah, it goes out. So if you think about that, and we don't think about it because it's microscopic. And I think that's what makes particulate matter so dangerous, is because you can't see it. But it infiltrates into your lungs, and it's not like you feel that. I mean, sometimes you do, so you have a coughing response, but because the particle's so small, it can still cause discomfort or probably long-term deaths.
Ask another question.
Sure.
You shared how we come down so well. What are the key elements of how we did that?
Well, I think there are many, some of which are in Nelson from VHEC and others maybe can answer better. I think some of the national standards around tailpipe emissions and things of that nature have helped just holistically, so not just in our region, but holistically. For one, in South Carolina, we now don't have any, this might just walked out. I don't believe we have any more coal-fired electric plants, right? So that's a big issue here in the region that we don't have any more is coal-fired plants. When the early action compact was done, my understanding was, and that's why when we started in 2012, we focused more on the vehicle emissions, because a lot of the manufacturing emission things that could be done were done during the early action compact period between 2002 and 2010. So this region has done, so it's really a combination of some things that we had no control over, national standards and things of that nature, but I think it's also some really good things that have been done, again, at a voluntary level for the most part, in South Carolina that have had an impact. And some of the things we talked about around truck stop electrification, the no idling at schools program, all those things, and this is the message we've shared the entire time that we've been involved with this, is it's the little things that add up to the big things. So, yes?
On particulate measurements, does this include the particulates from nature, natural things like pollen?
No, pollen's too big to be considered an issue for that. They can still figure out allergic reactions and so forth, but
It's still going to cause respiratory distress. And so it would be one of the things that if you already have COPD or if you already have asthma, then having a high pollen count is just going to make your breathing comfort even worse. And I think the cool thing about some of the work that's being done around educating us as citizens is that we have that information available to us now. A lot of the news stations put that when they're doing the weather report. I know on my phone, I have a weather app. And when I go to it, can you hear me? I'm loud, so I don't think this is on. Sorry. Okay. You can actually see what the pollen count is. You can see what the ozone layers are. So we have more information at our fingertips to help manage these diseases than we ever have before relative to our air quality.
After hearing the first presentation, I thought it would be great to start this with a news video that will just give you a little perspective on what's happening, at least with our company in the other state.
Most people think of green homes, they think of environmentally friendly or energy efficient homes. But there's another benefit, and as News 4's Kim McRae reports, it's a breath of fresh air, literally, for a Piedmont family.
Breathing has never come easy for 12-year-old Drew Gordon and his 14-year-old brother, LJ.
You want to breathe for that sometimes. And it was hard because like when he was young, he couldn't talk. And he would just cry. And then that would make me cry because I can't do anything for him.
Both boys suffered from asthma. Certain activities were impossible.
Jogging was out of question. Jogging was definitely out of question because they would start, and then the wheezing would start, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm tempted to run this one again.
But things changed a couple of years ago when parents Lynn and Amanda Gordon contacted Todd Usher of Addison Homes about building a high-performance greenhouse. At the time, they were hoping to cash in on the energy savings. But the couple says when they moved in the summer of 2007, LJ and Drew quit having asthma attacks.
And it really didn't hit me until after we moved in, and 2-3 months into it, they had not once had they complained about having breathing problems, and they still haven't. So we have never used the breathing machine since we've been in the house.
It's in the garage.
Yes, it's from the garage in the box.
Usher credits that to the air quality inside the home. He says his house is built to bring in the good and release the bad. These outside vents suck in fresh air, which is then filtered through a 10-inch thick performance filter before being sent through the house. And on the inside, point sources force potential pollutants out, like from within the kitchen.
They have a downdraft, and when they turn this on, it pulls all of the cooking odors and gases out to the outside.
And in all the bathrooms.
The moisture can definitely be an issue, and we want to vent that outside. We don't want the moisture lingering around where mold and mildew could grow in the house or in the bathroom.
The Gordons also got their original wish, energy efficiency. They say this 4,000 plus square foot home costs less to heat and cool than the 1,400 square foot home they moved out of, which is allowing everyone to breathe a sigh of relief. Kim McCray, WYFF News 4, Piedmont.
Todd Usher says improved air inside your home can also help with allergies, headaches, even eye irritation.
So how about that for a tie-in? Pretty good. All right, let's get this thing going. Dewey, I might need your, nope, I think I'm good. So I don't know if any of you caught that, but that was 11 years ago. And in 2007, we were relatively new in building high-performance homes. I founded the company in 2002. Do we know that? Oh, all right, it's good. I'm just seeing something different on my screen. So in 2002, I founded Addison Homes after coming out of 8 years in the corporate world with Milliken. I think there may be some Milliken folks here talking. But one of the things that became logical for me after coming out of the corporate chemical industry was, how do we build the best home possible? How do we build the best home today? I didn't know a whole lot about construction. I didn't know a whole lot about residential new home building. But I found early on a blueprint for best practices in home construction, and that was a program called Earthcraft House out of the Atlanta market. So we began to build back in 2002 and adopted early on the Earthcraft House standard and the Energy Star for Home standard. And essentially these programs foster best practices in the residential and commercial construction business today. They did 15 years ago, and they still do today. So I'm going to give you a little background. Some of this will be a bit technical, but I want to give you a background on what we do differently in our business and how that has affected our business's success in the upstate. That video that you just saw was one of the first data points, if you will, where we were connecting our homes and how we construct them to indoor air quality and health. And that continues to be an area of interest for us today. We heard conversations about PM 2.5, PM 10 in your presentation. That particulate matter we've begun to measure in our homes, and we can see that in a high-performance home with focus on energy efficiency and indoor air quality, we can reduce PM 2.5 by 10 to 15-fold from outdoor air. So we started building 16 years ago and looked for a best practices standard. At the time, that was Energy Star and Earthcraft House. Over 16 years, a lot has changed in the market and in the industry. How many in the room recognize Energy Star? Okay. Do you know that there's a certification for a home? That a home can be certified to Energy Star and earn that mark? Anybody? Okay, so far less. That program is kind of what started all of this about 20 years ago. And as codes have become more stringent and as the market has evolved, different programs have evolved out of that too. We now build our homes to a Department of Energy program called the Zero Energy Ready Home Standard. How many people have heard of that? 3, okay. So it right now is probably the less than 1% of builders across the country that are building a home to the Zero Energy Ready Home Standard that the Department of Energy has come up with. This standard represents what building code will probably be in 20 to 30 years, okay? But we're finding that we can build homes to this standard today, and they don't have to cost significantly more, and they perform amazingly better. So you come into the residential home building business and you say, from the corporate manufacturing world, where's the quality system, right? How many people, when you think of residential home builders, think quality and no callbacks and great experience? Go ahead, show me. Nobody. See, my hypothesis is correct. We have nothing but opportunity in our office. Okay, so where's the quality system, right? It's missing. How about this? Where's the quality system? We all laugh at this, but I say almost daily, it's a sad representation for our industry that we are not known for quality products, quality manufacturing, and a quality experience. So for our business, tying in a high performance approach and best practices ties back to, let's change the reputation of our industry. Let's do what we know can be done, and let's do it the right way today so that we don't have to deal with the funny pictures and the, you know, I mean, I had a conversation with a framer yesterday who said to me, you know, you guys are the only ones that have problems with our framing crew. None of the other builders in this market call us with issues. And I said to him, that's a very sad testament for our industry, because we're not asking for much. We're just asking for you to follow the plan. All right, so I'm going to try to get off my soapbox there. So we look at our business model as a high-performance home business model. You could call this green. You could call this sustainable. You could call this healthy. You could call this environmentally friendly. But at the end of the day, when I sit down with a client and explain our approach to construction, it becomes logical. Why would you not want a house that was more energy efficient, that had healthier indoor air, that was more durable and would last longer and have lower maintenance costs? Anybody not want to spend 5% more for that? Okay. We have tools now in the industry that can be utilized to help us design homes more efficiently and more effectively on the front end, such as 3D modeling. So when we do our homes, we do structural engineering on all of our homes. It's not required in Greenville County. Does anyone know how long it takes to get a building permit in Greenville County? 6 weeks? Anybody else? 8 weeks? This is good. This is Greenville County, not Greenville City, so Greenville County. But this is something that I start now with clients in explaining this process. Any other guesses?
3 months.
3 months? Anyone else? 6 months. Okay. It's 11 o'clock. We could get it before lunch. They break at 12 for lunch. So what's the next question? Not for us. So somebody said, no, not for me. So when we brag about building to code, what are we bragging about? we're bragging about the minimum legal standard that we can build a house to. So if I can get a building permit in an hour in Greenville County, what do I need for that? What would you think I need? Money. Yep. Yep, money. That's about it. Build a set of building plans? Don't need them. I just need to know the number of bathrooms, the number of electrical circuits, whether it's gas or electric heat. That's it, and I can have a building permit. All right, the bar is low. And I'm not saying that to get you to call your county representatives and say we need more stringent process for getting building permits. But when we talk to a client and we explain to them that the bar is so low and this is what we're doing, the decision becomes even more logical. Okay? So high performance mechanicals, we want to design heating and cooling systems so that they work properly. This is almost non-existent in the residential construction industry today. We want to design high performance renewable energy systems. So many of our homes now in the last few years incorporate solar photovoltaics. Duke Energy would need to talk about net metering, because it just went away. We want to build high performance foundations. So who in here has a crawl space foundation under their house? Who in here's crawl space is vented to the outside? Who has gone in their crawl space lately? A few. What was it like?
Hot, horrible.
Hot, horrible.
Dark.
Throw out some words. Musty. Spiders, bugs. Okay. We'll talk about that in just a minute. When we build crawl spaces today, we build sealed, conditioned crawl spaces. It's bad news to vent a crawl space to the outside. Building science has taught us that over the years. Leads to indoor air quality problems, leads to moisture problems, humidity issues. And where is your ductwork typically for your heating and cooling system? In the crawl space. So that's logical, right? Because in residential building, we're all about customer satisfaction and good experience. So let's make a really bad area under the house that's musty and horrible and spiders, and let's put the ductwork in there. The lungs of the house, our breathing air, let's pass it through that nasty space. Okay, so this is our crawl space. A set of steps from the inside of the house down to the crawl space. Insulation on the walls like a basement, not under the floor. No vents to the outside, membrane on the floor. We're conditioning that space just like the rest of our house. And guess what? That lets us take ground temperature, which is stable year-round, and help offset our heating and cooling load in the house, and maintain indoor air quality because that crawl space now isn't horrible, musty, nasty, and full of spiders. Okay? It costs more to do this. It does cost more to do this. But if I were to tell you just what I've told you, no more, who would want a vented crawl space versus a conditioned crawl space under your house? Maybe. Okay.
Oh, vented versus that?
Yeah, who would want vented, musty, horrible versus this? Usually I just have to show this picture or two to a client, and then we can go see a house if they want to, but it's like, oh no, that's mine, that's what I'm gonna have. And then it becomes storage space, it's conditioned storage space, or a safe room, or a tornado shelter, or whatever. When we build basement foundations, same approach. We typically use precast walls that are pre-insulated, and we heat and cool the basement, the whole basement. Why not? It offsets our cooling load in the hot, humid south during the summer, because we're taking that stable temperature from below grade and carrying it through the rest of the house. We're conditioning that space, we're filtering the air in that space, and we're not growing things in that space, like musty, mildewy things. Unless you're in Colorado and people grow things in different places. There's a lot of stories in the building science industry about what's happening in some of these markets where growing things can be profitable in your home and what happens to the humidity and the indoor air quality. High performance walls. We want to insulate our walls correctly. So this is a picture of a fiberglass insulation on the outside wall of a house. When we install fiberglass insulation, it needs to be installed well. It can't be compressed. It can't be crammed into a cavity. It needs to be fully lofted. That's what we know works. And then we go a little step further, is we sheathe the house with a structural sheathing, but then we wrap it in foam board. So this pink insulation is 1 inch thick of foam, and everybody knows what a Yeti cooler is, right? So it's no different than a Yeti cooler. What do you do when you go outside in the winter? You put a jacket on. What works best for insulating a house? Putting the insulation on the outside, not in between the stud cavities, is the only solution. So again, these are all best practices. These are available today. They are implementable today. We talked about our sealed crawl spaces. Our ductwork is in the sealed crawl space. So one of the requirements of the Department of Energy's new program is that our ductwork can't be outside of conditioned space. It can't be in our hot attic, and it can't be in our vented crawl space. Presents some challenges, but we've been able to solve those challenges. We want to have high performance indoor air, so we want to filter that air. We want to filter it well, efficiently, and effectively. And we do that by having central filtration in the house and sealing our ducts so that they don't leak. We want to have high performance renewables, so the photovoltaics that we've used are building integrated photovoltaics. They're solar shingles. They don't stand up on top of the roof and have holes through the roof to mount the brackets to. They're integrated to the roof and they look nicer too. I'll just share this picture with you. This was our first solar shingle install. And can you guess from the picture who is the manufacturer's training rep and who are the roofers? Didn't know I caught that moment when I took the picture, but I caught a very telling moment. So this is one of the challenges in the residential industry. We don't want to change. This is different. All four of those guys were like, this is crazy. And then after that house, they're like, when's the next one? This is cool. How much will this power? So it's just a matter of changing mindset to get folks on board. Daylighting. So another thing that we've discovered in our homes is we can bring natural light in from the outside that doesn't require us to burn electricity, and makes for a nicer environment, an indoor environment. Combine that with clean air and skylights that actually open, so on good air days, we can open the skylights and ventilate the house with fresh air. And then we want to message that. So we want to tell our clients about how we build and what are the benefits of building that way. High performance operation. This is a power bill from one of our clients. She posted this on Facebook, and she said, "Oh my gosh, my Addison home is amazing." And so I don't know if all of you can read that, but this is a 4 kilowatt hour monthly bill that includes the $8 service fee. So her monthly bill there was $9.37. And she has a relatively small solar array on her house, but she has an energy efficient house. So what does that do for me as a business owner when my clients post on Facebook and say how great my house is? It's a smart business decision. This house is just another case study. I talked to this homeowner 2 weeks ago. He's been in about a year, about 2,000 square feet. And I said, Mr. Rummel, how's your power bills been? He's got our smallest solar array, just a 3 kilowatt solar array. He says, well, you know, our last month's bill was about the highest we've had. It was really hot, and we kept our screen porch, the doors to the house to the screen porch, our 4-season room open quite a bit. It was $35. So I'm sorry about that. So again, smart business decision for us. Our customer satisfaction scores show that what we're doing is appreciated by our clients. And for us, it makes no sense to turn around and build code-built homes. We're building a better product. We have better feedback from clients. And the end result is happy homeowners, so that we grow as a business So I hope that's given you a good picture of kind of what's happening. We're a small builder. We don't build a lot of homes. We want to build more. It takes time to transform a market, and we're doing it one client at a time. But taking this forward, you know, the impact of what we're doing not only reduces the emissions from our power plants and our infrastructure, but also provides better health, living conditions, comfort, and affordability for our clients. So thank you very much.